Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Adorable treasured fox divine doctor mother overturning the heavens. Author by Co. Chi Yi. Audio novels by Novelist. Chapter 251, Fight together enough and they will be friends 3. What the heck? Rule the world. My daughter is younger than that kid by a year and even she is stronger than him. You still want to claim such a useless person will rule the world? Spitting at the ground to show his disdain at the eunuch's claim, Wang Diqiu was just ready to return to his home when he noticed Bai Yan at the doorway smiling at him. Oh Miss Bai Yan, it appears I've embarrassed myself just now. It's nothing, I was just passing by and happened to see a good show. Not going to linger on the topic, she diverts the subject away. Oh yes, everything you ordered is ready now. You can have someone pick the pills up in 2 days if you like. This was great news indeed for the man. Going bright in his eyes, Wang Diqiu's grin grew even wider. That's wonderful. I will definitely be there in 2 days with the money ready. Pleased by the quick and direct the man was, Bai Yan figured there's nothing left to discuss and turned away. Ellipsis. Meanwhile over at the Crown Prince's estate, Bai Ruo and her husband Nangongyi was currently overseeing their son's attempt at practicing martial art inside the garden. Though the fat boy was technically training, no denying that part, but the sword was extremely short and blunt. In fact, it's no exaggeration to call this a dagger rather than a sword based on that length. Father, mother, I'm so tired, can I not practice martial art anymore? Despite the sad display of endurance, the fat boy still made it sound like he's went through a lot with that heavy panting. Even worse here was the fact that Bai Ruo would wave the boy over so she can wipe the sweat away. A sad example of a mother because she clearly didn't know what discipline meant. Oh my son, it's fine if you are tired. There's no need for you to train so hard. In the future the world will be yours anyway. Regarding the attempt at improving himself, it was in fact the fat bully's idea and not his parents'. As unreasonable and nasty as he was, the kid did have some self-awareness after being brutishly beaten by Xiaokan and his friends. To not experience the same humiliation again, a flame of becoming stronger was lit ablaze in the fat bully. Sadly, the flame didn't get to burn long before it was extinguished once again. One part was his own lack of determination, the other being his parents' doting attitude like this very moment. Take the weapon used for training here for example. At first the boy was using a regular longsword like everyone else. Then it was changed to a shortsword due to complaint. Finally in the end even the shortsword was too cumbersome and was thus changed to a little dagger. No normal parent would be able to take this knowing their child was so useless, but not here, not to Bai Ruo and Nangongyi. To this pair of doting parents, such a display was only proper and expected. Son, I have already readied the snacks for you. Go rest first and enjoy the rest of the day, said Nangongyi with that satisfied face of his. Oh wife, I'm so thankful to you in giving me this wonderful son of ours. Blushing red in her cheeks, Bai Ruo didn't shy away from the compliment. Oh husband, what are you saying? Our son is so young yet he's already filled with ambition and courage. Unlike that wild child of Bai Yan's, our son will definitely reach newer heights than anyone in the kingdom one day. Whenever the topic of Xiaokan was brought up, Nangongyi's pupil would flare up with anger. It's the type belonging to someone who would rip a person apart due to his hatred. Husband, don't you think it's not so good to talk about that boy like that? No matter what, Xiaokan is still a child. Besides, our son isn't without fault before. Soft in her voice, Bai Ruo puts on the perfect image of a gentle and kind wife looking out for the unwanted. Our son is the destined child worshipped by the animals. Whatever he does is without fault, you hear me? I approve of his doing and will not permit anyone from tampering with his growth. Going cold in his eyes, Nangongyi went on with his rant. On the contrary, that kid only knows how to make trouble because he has the flower brothel behind his back. Once I make Bai Yan my concubine, I will have that brat know what it means to be trampled under someone's feet. As the old saying goes, a fruit cannot fall too far from the tree. Only a jealous woman like Bai Yan would produce a ill-mannered brat like that Bai Xiakan. Chapter 252, Self-Opinionated 1. My son is so pitiful. He not only permitted others to bully him, he also merely got burned to death for doing so. Apparently this father had forgotten the fact that it was his son who first set the foe on fire, hence the reason why Bai Xiakan would retaliate in kind. Then again, even if this man were to remember, he would have just assumed it's only proper and said it's a blessing from his son to kill someone. While the ignorant prince continues on with his biased thoughts, a rushed eunuch had come running to bring their attention back to reality. Eunuch Lamb, what sort of issue could cause you to be so flustered? Crown Prince, Crown Princess, that Wang family is simply too much. I kindly went over to them to ask that family to offer up their daughter to His Highness, but they not only rejected the idea, they even beat me for it. Darkening in his complexion, Meng Gongyi turns to his wife for some answer. My dear, what is the meaning of this? Going stiff in her tongue, Bai Ruo attempts to twist the story to her benefit after making a sigh. Our son is fancying a girl from that Wang family. So in order to meet that wish, I offered up a second-grade Dan pill to persuade that family. But instead of answering my goodwill, despite the frown, Meng Gongyi was at least better than his wife, but our son is only 5 this year. How can he share a room with another woman? Oh husband, our son only intends to have that lass enter our house for now. I was never going to have the pair share a room this early, it was meant for preparation for the future. It's not like you think. Biting her lip, Bai Ruo puts on a moping look to win the man's favor, or is it that you feel our son isn't good enough? Well, that worked. No longer dark in his complexion, Meng Gongyi's stern attitude instantly softened to a mellowing one. How can you think that? My son is not only honorable, he will also be extraordinary in this lifetime. I will go into the palace this instant and have my father the king make a decree. This way the lass will be sent over to our son whether they like it or not. Husband, you can't. This will make it look like we are forcing the weak to get things our way. Her lips had inexplicably arched into a suspicious smile. How can it be my wife? That would be the behavior of bandits and robbers. I'm the crown prince of this kingdom, plus a royal decree will make it legitimate in every angle. Don't worry, I will go look for my father this instant and grant our son's wish. Meng Gongyi may be biased and unreasonable, but he's never going to do something like forcing the weak. Why? It's because it will tarnish the reputation of the royal family, thus rousing his father's ire in the process. Elated at her husband's persistence, Bai Ruo immediately sought out her son's company once the man was gone. Together, the pair waited for the good news, which didn't take long at all. However, the good news wasn't exactly what she expected. Husband, did you get the decree already? She hurries to stand after seeing the man return so quickly. In response, Meng Gongyi bluntly shook his head to answer not. No my dear, but guess what I heard though when I sought my father out. Startled at first by the man's counter-question, Bai Ruo wasn't sure on how to take that happy expression. I'm not sure, did something good occur? Grinning, the man didn't want to leave his wife hanging. I heard from father that the demon beast sect will be sending someone over to our kingdom in the coming days. Whether it be the royal family of Lu Huo or the flower brothel under Bai Yan, both powers paled in comparison to the demon beast sect. So why would they visit us? Bai Ruo wonders in uncertainty. My wife, grinning wide in his smile, don't you get it? They are here for our son's sake. Lifting her head up in alarm, Bai Ruo sounded urgent, but husband, what does the demon beast sect have to do with our son? Chapter 253, Self-Opinionated 2. I only vaguely overheard what my father was saying. The excitement in the prince's voice cannot be hidden. Father was telling the generals that the demon beast sect is here to look for the destined child from the animal worship incident. Isn't that proof enough that they are here to look for our son? A gush of ecstasy filled Bai Ruo's heart. She could hardly believe the truth because it came too suddenly. Are you sure? Are you sure they have confirmed our son is the one they seek? Complacent in his face, Meng Gongyi proudly knocks his head high. Who else can it be if they are coming to our kingdom? Aside from our son, who else would have such ability? And besides, the fact that our son can control the animals of this world is widely known. They can't be so stupid as to not know that, can they? Now Bai Ruo wasn't so sure anymore after hearing her husband's explanation. It's been 5 years since the news went out, so why come now? What's more, the whole rumor was my entire doing. I understand, husband. I will have our son ready for when the people of the demon beast sect arrives. Her voice was meltingly soft, very suitable for the image she created. No matter what, she will not let anyone destroy her son's future, and anyone who tries will be removed. The first will be her supposed confidant who helped her spread those lies. Mother. Raising his fat oily face, Mangonglin asked with a voice unique to a child, what is a demon beast sect? Are they very powerful? Coming back to her sense at the question, Bai Ruo answers with a heartwarming smile, of course, my son. Then what about the flower brothel? Of course the demon beast sect is stronger. She gently rubs the little bully's head like a proper mother. And they will certainly take you into their sect after recognizing your ability to control the animals. By then you will surely become the disciple of the sect leader. As long as you don't go provoking the 3 major powers, then you will be unequal in this world. Going bright in his eyes, the fat bully asks with excitement in his voice, then does that mean I can pick on that Bai Shiakan? Of course you can. With the demon beast sect behind you, he won't even dare to sit unless you tell him to. So what if that bastard child has Daikang backing him? It's not necessarily the case that the demon beast sect would lose to that man. Mother. I'm going to be a disciple of the sect leader. Jumping up excitedly, the fat kid was flushing in his cheeks. I like to see how Bai Shiakan will pick on me again. The comment from her child only made this woman smile even brighter. Bai Ruo can already see it. See Bai Yan kneeling in front of her pleading for mercy. Husband. I need to make a trip back to my maiden home. This sudden request leaves Nangongyi wrinkling in his brow. Why do you want to go back for? I rather you not to avoid being infected with their bad behavior. But if I don't go back soon, I fear my father will beat my mother to death at this rate. Putting on her swindling face of pitifulness, she's no longer smile. Besides, a parent is still a parent. No matter how wrong they are, I cannot abandon them. Looking at Bai Ruo's tearful look, Nangongyi instantly crumbled. Very well. However, you must return within an hour. That's right. My wife is so kind and gentle, how can I bear to turn her into a heartless person? Thank you, husband, showing a glorious smile. I will never do anything to tarnish your name, nor will I let our child be a shame to the royal family. With this assurance from his woman, Nangongyi's somewhat strained forehead was now at ease. Go quickly and return to me soon. Yes, my love. Ellipsis. Since that day on the street where they made a fool of themselves, the entire Bai house had been covered in a cloud of gloom. Chapter 254, Self-Opinionated 3. Bai Ruo was shocked to find the state of her home was in. It's dirty and messy, a completely different scene from what she remembered of old. With disgust in her eyes, she inches forward while making sure to avoid those rubbish on the ground. That's when she heard it, the miserable cry of her mother and sister echoing out from inside the estate. Going dark in her complexion, she picks up her speed knowing full well what awaited her. Back inside the room where the source of the commotion was taking place, Bai Zhengxiang was currently holding a stick of measurable length to whip the kneeling woman on the ground. This would of course be Yurong, the source of all misfortune in this house. Tearful in her eyes, there was no elegance to be found here today, only sadness and a constant plea for mercy. Father, please don't hit mother anymore. Taking to the floor, Bai Zhi attempts to help by crying out, please father, stop this now. If you keep hitting mother like this, then she will really die at this rate. Shut up. Unrelenting in his actions, Bai Zhengxiang directly sent the girl to the ground with his ruthless slap. I'm not even sure if you're my daughter or not. How dare you beg for this woman? Damn you, woman, confess. Whose child is that in your stomach? With her head hanging, Yurong didn't have the nerve to answer. All she could do now was shiver there on the floor as if she's about to faint at any second. Enough. It was then that old Madame Yu barged into the room, her face gloomy with discontent. Are you really trying to kill your own wife? Yu Rong is the closest person next to you, so how can you believe Bai Yan over her? Turning cold in his eyes as he swept his gaze over to the old granny, Auntie Yu, I'm not hitting you because I respect that old age of yours. However, don't take me for a fool. I know you must have known about your daughter's deed behind my back. The blunt response had left the old granny speechless there. She knows things are getting serious because Bai Zhengxiang had never once addressed her in formal terms like right now. Zhengxiang, I guarantee you that my daughter's baby is yours. It cannot be someone else's. Is it? The man sneered, not believing a word of it. If it was in the past he would have believed every word of it. However, after so many incidents and truths, he can no longer put his faith in them. Zhengxiang, have you forgotten? Bai Ruo is the crown princess, and your grandson Lin is destined to be the future king of this kingdom. Aren't you afraid of the repercussions by angering your daughter? No other options left. Old Madame Yu can only resort to open threat. Instead of mocking or ridiculing that statement, Bai Zhengxiang was surprisingly indifferent here with that frosty voice. Repercussions. I fear my grandson Lin wouldn't even make it to that day. Boom. The doors to the room was immediately swung open following the end of that sentence. It was Bai Ruo in her irritated mood. Who said my child wouldn't make it to that day? Seeing the appearance of his daughter here out of the blue, the man only frowned and asked, what are you doing back home? Raising an unfriendly smirk, she answered honestly, I returned because I fear my mother would be killed if I don't. Not hesitating, the woman swiftly walked up to her kneeling mother to help Yu Rong off the floor. Mother, are you okay? Trembling in her lips as she watched that soft, delicate face, Yu Rong finally succumbed to her grievance and cried a river of tears. My daughter, you are finally back. Mother would have never been able to see you if you had returned any later. Don't worry, Mother, I am here specifically to help you. Handing her mother over to her sister, Bai Ruo then turns back to her father. What you said just now, is it because of Bai Yan? Snickering a cold laugh, the man didn't beat around the bush. Bai Yan hates us so much, you think she would let us off? Chapter 255, Cheeky Bai Zhengxiang 1. Bai Zhengxiang's heart would always ache in pain whenever the thought of how close he came to taking ownership of the flower brothel. If not for this wretched woman, would Bai Yan hate me, hate the Bai house so much? It's all her fault that I can't use my position as the father to make claim to that organization. Bai Ruo sneered. Based on what can she not let me and my son go? Based on Daikang's backing. Too bad, it won't be long before Daikang surrenders before me. Without that man's backing in the flower brothel in ruins, how can she still challenge me then? Regardless of what status of power an organization was in, it's still divided into ranks. For the demon beast sect, it's considered to be at the top of the middle class. As for the three otherworldly sects that stands at the top of the pyramid, they are not even in the equation for Bai Ruo. What does it mean to be otherworldly? It's to be above the struggles of the mortal world and those who dwell in it. Startled by her daughter's statement, the man urgently inquires for more. Is what you say true? Father, have you heard of the demon beast sect? Going vicious in her eyes, Bai Ruo was practically seething with poison in her tongue. My husband had just gotten word that the demon beast sect is very interested in my son Lin and will be coming over to our kingdom very soon. By that time, it's a certainty that my son will become the main disciple of the sect leader. Despite her claim, the real purpose of those people coming was for the destined child, not her son. But a mother has her ways, and Bai Ruo had twisted the story to suit her needs as she deemed fit. Sister, is it really true that the demon beast sect is eyeing my nephew? Scrambling up from the floor, Bai Ji was filled with excitement in her eyes. Of course, my son Lin is the ruler of the animals in this world. For him to attract the attention of the demon beast sect is nothing to be surprised about. Bai Ruo nods to reaffirm the girl. If that's the case, doesn't that mean Daikang would abandon Bai Yan and take me as his wife instead? How disgraceful. Even now Bai Ji still hasn't dispelled the notion of marrying the man yet. This instantly causes Bai Ruo to break out into laughter. Oh sister, you can prepare yourself to be a bride then. Even if he's not an opponent for the demon beast sect, I still want him by our side. He will make a fine addition as a protector to my son. As for the flower brothel, it's too much of a pity to destroy it. Raising a smirk, mother, you should get ready too for taking over that place. Everything will be ours soon. Yurong was shocked by her daughter's statement. She could barely believe her ears, which left her baffled state. Daughter, I can really become the flower brothel's mistress. It wasn't all that long ago where they had to put in everything just to curry favor from that organization. But now the flower brothel was going to be hers. This surprise had come too suddenly that she can barely take it in. From gloom to light, her entire being was glowing. As if the flower brothel is worth anything. In the future I'll give you all even more. However, that's under the premise that none of you ever betray me. For a selfish person like Bai Ruo, how can she ever have any love for her family? She only needs them to never forsake her, that's all. On the contrary, if Bai Zhengxiang or Yu Rong does get in her way, it's not out of the question that she would remove them personally just to clear the way for her son. After giving her warning, Bai Ruo once again turned towards the man. Father, I believe in mother, she would never betray you. Even if a blood sample was done with the unborn fetus, I guarantee you it won't be a match. I know Bai Yan, she would have done something behind the scenes to make sure of that. Going silent for a moment, Bai Zhengxiang seems to have thought it through. Very well, I won't beat your mother again. With the assurance that she wanted, Bai Ruo finally revealed her usual gentle smile. That's good. Know that my husband cannot bear to leave my side. Even for this visit, I'm only permitted to return for an hour before I have to leave. So, it's time I went back. I will come again on another day. Quote. Her words are obviously lies once again. Nangong Yi clearly forbade her from returning due to the bad reputation of the Bai house, not because he can't stand to be away from her. Chapter 256, Cheeky Bai Zhengxiang 2. Old Madame Lan's mouth had curled into a satisfied smirk as she watched the departing back of her granddaughter. In the end it's my granddaughter who's the most capable. Not only is her man firmly in her control, she's also gifted with fortune. Such ability is not something that Wrench Bai Yan can compete with. Isn't it so? Enduring the pain on her body, Yurong barely managed to force a smile here. It's not only Ruo, her son Lin is also very powerful that even the demon beast sect is now eager to take him in. I know the child's future will be bright, so bright that Bai Yan's child can never catch up. Ellipsis. In follow days to come, the people of the royal city were all able to notice the strangeness coming off the members of the Bai house. It's too obvious, especially from the man himself. At the beginning Bai Zhengxiang would always hide himself inside his home, refusing to show his face like a turtle. But not now, no, he was literally glowing as he strolled through the open streets like he owned it. Oh my goodness, does that mean the Bai house will rise again? With the thought coming up inside everyone's heart, the people were no longer willing to look at this laughingstock in the same way. Who knows if it might come true and they be caught in the crossfire. Ellipsis. Back inside the old manor, Bai Yan was currently enjoying a book while bathing under the sunlight here in the garden. Beside her, the occasional giggles and delightful screams of her son playing with Xuanhuan only added life to this serene picture. It was at this moment that Huoluo came running in to interrupt their wonderful time. Mistress. What happened? Bai Yan's voice was soft as she wrinkled her forehead. I just saw that man Bai Zhengxiang on the road. He seems to be somewhat different. Pricking her brow, it's quite apparent her interest was roused by the report. Tell me, what's different about him? He said. Huoluo's face didn't look so well like she's hesitant to speak. He said that as long as you admit you're wrong then you can return to the Bai house, under the pretense that you offer him all your Dan pills and the flower brothel that is. Going stiff in her hands, that remarkable face was shrouded in confusion. He really said that? Yes. Biting her lips, Huoluo wished she could have beaten the man right there on the spot. Sadly, she was in too much of a rush to make this report that she forgot to do that. How strange. Does he have some sort of reliance to make this demand? Maybe that man had finally lost it in the head. That's the only plausible explanation Huoluo could come up with. I understand then. You keep a tab on the Bai house during this period. I want to know what sort of people is making contact with them. In truth, Bai Yan had no fear of other forces joining in with her enemy, just that she didn't want to be left in the darkness while the foe made their moves. Yes, Mr. Just when Huoluo was ready to leave after getting her order, a loud commotion from the front had stopped her in her track. It was vague, but they can clearly tell who that familiar voice belongs to. Based on what can you people not let me in? Bai Yan is my sister. What's wrong with me seeing my sister? Bai Yan's face sank, her lips smearing. Huoluo, throw that girl out. If she refuses, then break her leg. Raising a charming smile, Huoluo was delighted at the order. That Baiji is a real cockroach, practically invulnerable, I say. It hasn't even been that long since her last beating and she's already up and running around like a grasshopper. Chapter 257, Cheeky by Zheng Xiang 3. No matter. They only got a few days left anyways. Going sharp in her eyes, Huoluo becomes stern in that face. Mistress, are you planning to make your move against the Bai house soon? The birth nanny from back then may have passed away, but I've been secretly investigating in the shadows using a different angle. I should be getting some good news from the fox I hid inside the Bai house soon. As long as the matter relating to her mother's death becomes known, plus she get a clue to her birth, then the Bai house will no longer be needed. Oh, so noisy. Due to the disturbance getting more and more annoying, Xuanhuan had finally lost it. Who's the ignorant fool to make trouble at my home? As much as she wanted to keep playing with her nephew, the atmosphere simply wasn't right. To remedy that, she stomps off for the front end with the boy still firmly in her arms. It's fine, Huoluo, you don't need to go anymore. Bai Yan shrugs. Leave it to Xuanhuan since she's so eager to take the lead. Why is that Baiji so bad in her memories? Always coming to make trouble for mistress. Now she's going to get it good. Huoluo was full of sympathy in her eyes as she watched the girl and baby boy disappear around the corner. Meanwhile, back outside the entrance, Baiji was flaring up in flames with her pompous attitude. Just when the unreasonable girl was ready to go at it with the guards again, a mega kick suddenly came flying out from the side and lands directly onto her chest. There were no mercy shown here today, sending the ignorant lass flying out to the street. It's you. Blood seeps out of the injured girl's mouth as she stared wide-eyed at the figure responsible for the attack. At first Xuanhuan herself was somewhat taken aback by who her victim was, but the shock soon turned into disdain. Why is it you again? Is it not enough that you tried to trick me before? Now you are even shameless enough to barge into my nephew's home. Likely able to recall how painful that day was after being beaten so miserably, Baiji had lost all of her former arrogance. Shivering there like a frightened rabbit, she speaks out anyways. I'm here to look for my eldest sister. Who are you calling your sister? She is my sister-in-law, not your sister. If you keep spouting nonsense, then I will beat you to death. The demon princess made no attempt at hiding her wiliness to do so by pumping out her fist as a threat. Now Baiji was just outright dumbfounded. She had assumed the girl before her as someone who only favored Bai Yan because of the misconception that Bai Xiakan was Daikang's son. But now, to hear it firsthand how warmly Xuanhuan was addressing that woman as her sister-in-law, it's quite apparent she was wrong, so wrong that it hurts. I am here to tell Bai Yan, she struggles to crawl up from the ground, that my sister's son Mangonglin had already caught the attention of a big figure. Know that they are not to be trifled with, and if my nephew wishes it, even the world will be ours at the time. Go tell Bai Yan that if she wished to live, then she better come crawling back home so she can apologize. Maybe we will consider sparing her life if she does. In actual truth, the main reason why Baiji would come again today was due to her father's request. As to why Bai Zheng Xiang wouldn't make her appearance instead, Well, it's not hard to guess why. A miserable lowlife like that would never put himself in danger. It'd be hilarious if he did. Xuanhuan snickered, holding her foe in contempt. The ruler of this world. Do you think my sister-in-law would care? If she wished it, my brother would have given her everything from the start, the demon realm and the celestial realm. Now Baiji was just downright broken from the shocking remark. The most she can expect from her nephew Lin was to rule over the mortal world, not the demon realm and celestial realm too. Seeing how sluggish Baiji was acting, Xuanhuan increases her pressure by knocking her chin up like someone superior. Are you going to scram or should I give you another beating? Chapter 258, The Miserable Baiji. Shivering at the threat, Baiji instinctively took a step back as she glared at her foe with resentment. You better not regret this. In her entire life, Xuanhuan had never feared anyone due to that doting upbringing of hers, the only exception being her brother and sister-in-law. Therefore, it's only a matter of course she would be offended. Someone come, tie this girl up for me. Yes, Miss Xuanhuan. The guards from the flower brothel needed no urging for this order. In fact, they were very eager to subdue this unruly wretch who's been making trouble for them. In no more than a minute, Baiji had become surrounded on all sides. What are you planning to do? The nervous girl timidly asks. Planning. Revealing a wicked smile, Xuanhuan was menacing as she narrowed in on her prey. I ordered you to leave and you didn't leave. Now you won't even get that chance anymore. You men over there, tie her up to that tree there and shave her head. I want everyone in the public to be able to gaze at her miserable face. Women are all about beauty. This was especially true for Baiji. As such, the frightful girl was immediately struck with terror after hearing what they were planning to do. No, I know I'm wrong. Please let me go. As if that would work. Ignoring the pleading cry, the guards worked quickly and dragged the girl up to the tree. Using a very rough and pronounced rope, they made sure to bind her up in a bondage style. This wasn't in the order, but since these men are all from the flower brothel, it pretty much came to them as second nature to rouse as many eyes as possible. Besides, it's not like it's the first time they played this sort of game with the more willing ladies back at work. And one of you over there, go get a knife for me so I can carve the word, bitch, onto her forehead. Knocking her chin up, Xuanhuan had literally transformed into the female version of her brother. How dare these thugs come make trouble for my sister-in-law? I will make an example of her to get some payback. Baiji was done for now. Closing her eyes in regret, this foolish girl was full of hatred and regret. She hated Bai Yan, hated Bai Xiakan, and despised Xuanhuan. However, there's also her father Bai Zheng Xiang in the list too. If not for that man, she wouldn't have come in the first place, making it totally her father's fault she would be in this wretched state. One day, just you people wait, I'm going to make all of you pay 1,000 times over. That's all she can think about as the blade drew closer and closer. Ellipsis. While Baiji was enduring the second greatest humiliation of her life, another huge stir was currently taking place inside the palace. It was the king. Rushing out to the main reception hall, this ruler of the kingdom was very eager to receive the divine-looking elder that had just arrived on scene. Elder Thunder, first making sure his posture was right, Nangong Yuan King steps forward with a charming smile. We've been expecting your arrival for a while now. Please, come this way. That cage behind you, would we be privy to know what's inside? What the king was referring to was the massive cage also being lifted into the hall. Aside from this elder of the demon beast sect himself coming today, there's also a retinue of powerful men in charge of carrying a giant cage. However, due to the thing being veiled with a giant blanket, none could get a precise look inside. Make no mistake though, the pressure exuding out of whatever's caged inside cannot be hidden by a mere fabric. It's ominous and threatening, hence the reason why the king would immediately inquire about its content. Your Majesty, let us find another location before we talk. This place is not very convenient. With a frown, the elder directly skipped the question and made his demand instead. It's pretty obvious this elder of the demon beast sect didn't hold the king as his equal. Somewhat taken aback by the rude remark, Xuanhuan King could only force himself to continue with that rigid smile. Yes, yes, I understand. Please follow me, Elder Thunder. With the formalities complete, the king then led the way for the main study room. Elder Thunder, this place should be adequate for whatever is in your mind. Xuanhuan waves everyone way to leave only them alone for further discussion. Nodding in approval, the elder didn't beat around the bush and went straight into the topic. The reasoning for my arrival this time is to seek the destined child of the animal worship incident. When the time comes, I want your majesty to gather every child of kingdom for assessment. The palace courtyard will be suitable. Quote. Now this was unexpected for the king. Somewhat surprised in his reaction, Elder Thunder, aren't you here for my grandson Xuanhuan? Xuanhuan. Those old brows had furrowed into a knot at the unfamiliar name. I don't know such a person, so why would I be here for him? From green to white, the king's expression was very ugly right now, but my grandson is the cause of that incident. Elder Thunder, there's no need to wait. I can have someone bring the child here immediately for your assessment. Chapter 259, If you are sick then hurry and go get it looked at. 1. This time Xuanhuan King didn't wait for Elder Thunder to speak and directly made his order, go call the royal grandson here this instant. Irritated by the self-conceited action of the king, the elder was puffing with annoyance as he sneered, when did I say I want to see your grandson? Startled by what he heard, Xuanhuan urgently asked, I thought the demon beast sect is here to look for the destined child of the animal worship incident. Isn't that the reason why you are here, to meet my grandson? Nothing but gossip and rumor, as if I would be so ignorant. Disregarding the ugly expression on the king, the elder was practically mocking the man now. All you have to do is gather any children under 5 in one spot. By then I will have a way to tell who is the true destined child. Wrinkling his brow, Xuanhuan attempts to cover up his sense of contempt for the old man. He had thought the demon beast sect would be above the rest, but it seems his high appraisal of the elder was wrong. A fool still, no matter how high his power was. Elder Thunder, forcing a smile, I will do as you request and make a royal edict now. Only after hearing that did the elder's complexion get better. Very good, go now. I don't have too much time to waste. Also, I don't want many people to know I'm here. The implication of his meaning was that he didn't want too many to know the demon beast sect was behind the gathering. Ellipsis. Without disappointing, Xuanhuan was fast to carry out the order. Before long, a sensation had swept across the kingdom. While most were clueless on what's going on, there were a few who were in on the secret. The main ones being Xuanhuan Crown Prince and Bairuo. Husband, what is the meaning of this? The woman sounded anxious. Didn't the demon beast sect come for us, Lin? Why is His Majesty gathering all the children of the kingdom in the palace? From those beautiful eyes that could make a man go wild, a pang of concern could be seen. I don't understand the meaning of my father either. Perhaps this is the command of the demon beast sect. The crown prince frowns, unsure what to make of this either. Why would they do that? The demon beast sect isn't stupid. Bairuo was ghostly white now as her body trembled with fear. The rumors were orchestrated by her to begin with. She should have known it would turn out like this. However, as the old saying goes, the more you say the more you will believe. Hence the reason why she ended up believing her own lies. The man was starting to wrinkle his forehead harder and harder because he didn't understand why his wife was having such a huge reaction. Even so, he eventually loosened it and attempts to soothe the deceitful woman. There's nothing to be worried about, my wife. The demon beast sect aren't made up of fools. Our son is a dragon, so it's just a matter of time before he soars through the sky. We do not need to fret over something like this. Do you mean it? Glancing up at her man, Bairuo's expression was hopeful again. I understand then. I was too emotional and lost my senses. I'm sorry, husband, I was just worried someone might try to steal our son's glory using this opening. Snickering a laugh, Xuanhuan Crown Prince didn't have the same opinion, as if that would be possible. This is our home, no one can try anything under our watch. Showing a bittersweet smile, Boruo starts showing her evil ways again. Husband, have you forgotten? There's still that Xuanhuan out there. A sinister and deceitful boy like that would surely try something against our precious baby. Chapter 260, If you are sick then hurry and go get it looked at too. He wouldn't dare. Seething with anger in his voice, Mangongyi Crown Prince wanted to kill with those eyes, as expected. Only Bai Yan's son would do something so despicable. Worry not though, the demon beast sect wouldn't be so easily fooled by such people. Bai Ruo didn't meet her husband's word, instead she only lowered her eyes while pursing her lips. Something didn't seem right to her. It's like the situation was getting out of her control, making that unease inside bigger and bigger. Ellipsis. Meanwhile back over at the old manor, Bai Yan was currently lazing around inside the pavilion when her body was head-butted by a small little marshmallow. And due to the suddenness of it all and how quick it came at, she nearly lost her balance and fell over as a result. You little rascal, you are already coming close to 6 this year. You must be more mature like your friend Nangong Jun, bullied kid, all right. She timely tickled the little boy's nose to her delight. Mother, guess what I heard? The king is gathering any children under 5 years of age at the palace. I also want to go. Raising his cute little face, Xuanhuan was hopeful his mother would say yes here. Raising a brow, Bai Yan was surprised by her son's abrupt request. Beaming with glee, the boy continues by speeding through his words. I heard the demon beast sect is here so I want to see how good their taming skills are. Twitching in her eyes, now she understood why. Her son here had never been much interested in anything since he was young, the only exception being poisonous ingredients and bullying the small little animals like little rice. Just as she's ready to give her decision, a deep and powerful voice had interrupted her from the front. He can go. Under the illuminating brightness of the sun, that devilishly figure was both enchanting and dangerous, so much so that Bai Yan had trouble taking it in for a moment there. You say Xuanhuan can go? That's right. Walking over, Daikang uses his powerful arms to pull the nestling boy out of his mother's embrace. The demon beast sect brought over a glass dragon. Even though the creature is nowhere good enough as a partner, it's nevertheless suitable as a mount still. Pricking her brow, Bai Yan was somewhat interested now. Didn't your sister give Xuanhuan a mount earlier already? That little phoenix is only passable as a pet, hardly good enough as a mount. The glass dragon though is not bad. Able to travel 1,000 miles in one day, it's far superior to a white phoenix. Alright, chuckling at the man and his dishonesty, Bai Yan shifts her gaze back to the boy. If you want then go ahead and bring the glass dragon home. Thank you mother. Innocent and clean in his eyes, the boy answers with absolute delight in his voice, all the while unaware of the man's focus on himself. My son will not be bullied by others. Even if it is just something superficial like glory, I will take it back in one full sweep. Daikang's mouth had turned into a devious grin while thinking this. Ellipsis. Due to how fast the royal edict was being passed along the entire kingdom, the palace was now rampant with children below age of 5. These commoners had never seen such grandeur in their life. As such, gasps of astonishment could constantly be heard from these children whenever they come across a residence of the palace. It was at this time a proud voice had drifted into their ears from the side. Humph, what a bunch of country bumpkins. Riding a luxurious carriage, Nangong Lin and his mother Bai Ruo was currently coming over using their condescending attitude at the kids of the kingdom. Mother. Pouting in displeasure, the child turns around to ask, why are they allowed into my palace? This is my turf. These dirty lowlifes will dirty it. End of the chapter. Adorable treasured fox divine Dr. Mother Overturning the Heavens, will be read in 10 chapters for every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.